Good morning, good morning, good morning. How you guys doing? This your boy Coach Dante in the building for another Coffee and Sports in the Morning Monday. How you guys doing? We are 4 days away from free agency, man. I'm very excited, very happy. Moves gonna be made. I'm here this morning with my brother, co-host, no other than Mo Better. How you doing, Mo?
I'm blessed, Coach, and ready to go.
Let's get right into it, man. Shout out to the Empire Sports Network family, man. 4 days away from free agency, and man, it's kicking up in high gear. Let's get right into this, man. Interesting topic. It was brought up yesterday. Tobias Harris, dad, not happy of his son's role, which is I was the first one that brought it up. There, Tobias Harris sat in the corner. Like I said, he was a fourth option, due to James Harden coming in. Someone that needed the ball. Tyrese Maxey was basically almost the third option, 18 points per game. Joel Embiid, of course, he's number one. James Harden was number two, but Tobias Harris, sat in the corner. He had to wait for his opportunity, and no wonder why he struggled a lot of games because who was taking the ball handling duties, who was taking most of the shots? Tyrese Maxey, James Harden, and Joel Embiid. So other than that, if his dad see this type of stuff right here, why couldn't nobody else really see it that much? Really see it that way. I mean, I'm pretty sure his dad watches his son play, and this is not really a good look. But like I said, this is an organization thing. They gave Tobias Harris the contract. They gave him the contract. Now you're expecting him to play like a contract that play into that contract when he's not that type of contract guy. Tobias Harris is a borderline all-star type player. I seen it with the Los Angeles Clippers. The first couple of years with the Sixers when the man averaged 20 points per game. Now, this is his lowest scoring season. And with being a fourth option, the man still averaged 14 points per game, being a fourth option. But we all know Tobias Harris used to averaging 20 points for his first 4 seasons, especially the one with the Clippers. And he had a season with the 76ers of 20 points. The rest of them have been 19, 17, and he averaged 14 points being a fourth option. But his dad spoke out and said, hey, he sat in the corner all year long, no ball movement. He didn't get opportunity. He didn't get a lot of opportunities, which is he didn't get a lot of opportunities. He had to wait for his opportunities to come, or when he got the ball, he had to force the issue a lot. So, Mo, what do you think about Tobias Harris' dad coming out?
So his dad's right to begin with. I mean, he might have went overboard with some of his statements when he called his son a scoring assassin or something to that effect. I wouldn't say he's an assassin, but I would agree with you that he is an all-star caliber player. Maybe he's not been but he's an all-star caliber player. And you have to look at his peak, not even his career averages. His peak, you're talking about a guy that you could book for 19 points, 8 rebounds, shoots a high percentage, about 48% from the field, coach, 37 from 3. A guy who can score at all 3 levels. He's a terrific catch and shoot guy from the 3-point line. He has a mean step back. He can score from from foul line in. He's actually got a very effective post game. You wouldn't know it because it doesn't get utilized with the Sixers. So I understand not just his frustration, but his father's frustration. And you're right. Philly fans from the jump, the moment Tobias Harris got that $185 million contract, he was going to be a target. And nobody's going to dispute. Look, good for him for getting that paper, but that's a max deal at the time. He's not a max deal player. So they're going to always look to him to be their point of aggression when the Sixers fail. He's one of their favorite targets. I would just say stop looking at his contract and actually look at his opportunities and how he's utilized within that offensive scheme. If they want the fans to get more bang for their buck, then you've got to utilize Tobias Harris with his skill set. You got to set him up for success. That's the best way I can put it. The Sixers they're looking around for everybody else. You've got a guy who can drop 20 a night. You already have him on your roster. If James is going to be the point guard, then more facilitating and less shooting. I'm good with James Harden averaging 16 points a game and 11 assists if you're going to feature both Maxey and Tobias Harris, because you really could have three guys dropping 20 points a game or more, obviously with Embiid, outside of Harden. So I understand the frustration coming from Harris and his father, and it's warranted. The Sixers have underutilized his skill set.
Yep, definitely had, man. Like I say, his top seasons, his top season, is probably his best overall season is with probably the Los Angeles Clippers that he had with the Los Angeles Clippers. That was probably his best overall season. But I mean, if you look at his numbers, man, the man can score, man. You look at all the way, all the way, and this is crazy. This is crazy. All the way since 2012, the man is 16 points per game average player. The man's from 2012 with the Orlando Magic. His first season, averaged 17 points. Averaged 17 points a game in 27 games because he was traded at that time. In 2014, he dipped it a little bit with injuries. He scored 14.6. Then you go up to 2015 when he scored 17. That dropped a little bit because of injury. In 2016, that dropped because of injury. 13 points per game. Then he was shifted to Detroit. The man averaged 16 points back-to-back years. Then he goes to 2018. He averaged 18. He averaged 18 and 28 in 2018. And with the Clippers, he averaged 18 points per game. The very next year, he averaged 20. And with Philadelphia, his lowest scoring season was 14, which was this year because he turned into a fourth option. In 2022, the man averaged 17 points per game in 2022. So he had back-to-back after 2022. Before that, he averaged back-to-back 19 points per game seasons. That's when he pretty much was one of the options of the team without James Harden and no emerging Tyrese Maxey yet at that time. But 2020 to 2021, the man averaged 19, put up 19 points per game. That was pretty huge right there. So the man could actually score the basketball. But one more question I want to get to you. But Daryl Morey, we all know Tobias Harris not going to be a Sixer next year. I don't think he's going to be a Sixer. I think they're going to find a way to trade him. But the problem is, you want him to come off Tobias Harris so bad, but it's making Daryl Morey making it hard because he want all these goddamn assets back, which is he's not going to get an elite asset back from Tobias Harris. He was in talks with Cleveland. He was in talks with a bunch of teams, but he wanted Jared Allen. He wanted Jared Allen and another star player. You're not going to get that type of value from for Tobias Harris. So again, Daryl Morey is kind of botching the trade. He's kind of botching the trade a little bit of Tobias Harris, and is getting frustrated that he won't come off him because he's looking for some elite assets, which he's not going to get. What you think about it, Mo?
I don't think Daryl Morey is really serious about moving Tobias Harris. You go to Cleveland and you say you want Jared Allen and Evan Mobley. If I'm Cleveland, I wouldn't trade either one of them straight up for Tobias Harris. I'm not doing it, let alone him asking for both of them. That's not a serious trade request, in my opinion. I think that either Daryl Morey is vastly overrating. Now, you and I just pointed out how actually talented and versatile Tobias Harris is, but in reality, he is not a star. He is not a superstar. He doesn't warrant what Daryl Morey is seeking to get back in compensation. It's not going to happen. Tobias Harris is a very good player who, if you throw into another contender, he will help them win games. So a realistic trade would be able to trade him and maybe get back two very good rotation pieces, right? Maybe a younger player. Look at Brooklyn's roster. Just for an example, even though they're looking to re-sign this guy, what if you traded Tobias Harris and you got back Cam Johnson and Seth Curry? Bring Seth Curry back to Philly, give you another shooter. I'm just saying that's a more realistic ask than what Daryl Morey is currently doing.
Yes, indeed. And which is Cam Johnson is a free agent coming up this Monday. Look out, like I said, for the Rockets. They're definitely interested in that guy, bringing that guy in for the
They're gonna
small.
put together a squad in Houston.
Yeah, we coming. We got about like a couple more years though. I wouldn't be surprised if we compete for that playing spot, for that playing
I
tournament.
think they will compete this
Yep.
year for playing spot. Look, the crazy thing is, Coach, you
Mhm.
know this. Let's just take Harden out of the picture. With over 60 million in cap space,
Mhm.
you guys literally can bring in 3 players
Yep.
that can impact your team immediately with that amount of money. That's
Got
crazy.
Yeah, that's pretty scary right there. That's pretty scary right there. So what if Randy Moss went to Green Bay? What if Randy Moss went to Green Bay in play for Aaron Rodgers? How would it look, and would it result into a championship in Green Bay?
So I think we know how great Aaron Rodgers has been over the breadth of his career. We know the numbers, but he's played with a great player in Devontae Adams.
Yep.
He's had some successes with big name players and not won a title. And as great as Randy Moss is, matter of fact, I'll say this about any great wide receiver. Getting a great wide receiver and a great quarterback doesn't book you for a title automatically. So I'm going to say they would have put up numbers. They would have been entertaining to watch. They would have definitely been Super Bowl contenders. But there's no way to know just because you pair him with Aaron Rodgers that they're going to win a Super Bowl, because he had Devontae Adams and he didn't win a Super Bowl. And I'm not saying Devontae Adams is better than Randy Moss, but he is a bigger, physically more imposing wide receiver, and he couldn't win with him. So I'm just going to say they would have put up some incredible numbers. They would have won a lot of games, but there's no way to know if they would have won a Super Bowl.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. He did have Devontae Adams, the best, probably he's the best receiver in the game to me. Devontae Adams is the best receiver in the game. Randy Moss, his closest season, we already know when he went to the Super Bowl with Tom Brady, they got the undefeated streak losing, lost right there. Randy Moss was probably almost the most dominant receiver that we've seen in our game. I think Jerry Rice is the greatest receiver of all time. But other than that, he definitely would have had opportunities. And also, Aaron Rodgers had, Donald Driver in his career, that championship year. He also had Greg Jennings when he was young.
Very good player.
Jordy Nelson, Darren Woodson, those guys, Clay Matthews, those guys was good on the side of the ball. Devontae Adams, he had Devontae Adams. Aaron Jones was good for a while. Aaron Jones, already know. AJ Dillon, those were good enough Super Bowl teams, man. 4 NFC championships, man, and couldn't get it done after that first Super Bowl. But they would have no doubt definitely been talented. But I don't know if it would have been enough to win a Super Bowl. I don't know if it would have been enough to win a Super Bowl.
It would definitely been fun to watch.
Mm-hmm.
You know what's interesting? Randy Moss will go down. He is one of the more dominant receivers in the history of the game. But if you look at Randy Moss's route tree, I'm just talking about every route he runs versus every route Devontae Adams runs. Devontae Adams actually has a better route tree.
Yeah.
Randy Moss is great. I think he's the most gifted. I'm talking about naturally gifted wide receiver I've ever seen. When you talk about hands, speed, agility, athletic ability overall, like he had everything. He had everything. It was just naturally God gifted.
Yeah.
He didn't have a big route tree. He just dominated you because he had the height of a receiver that you would want on the goal line, but he had this kind of speed that would take the top off of any defense, and his leaping ability allowed him to go attack the football. So just the most gifted wide receiver I've ever seen.
You ain't lying about that. So we go to the next topic. So Kevin Durant came out and said Paul Gasol was robbed of the 2010 NBA Finals MVP. Now, you're a Laker fan, and we all watched that series when they played against Boston. I believe that was Boston that year when they won the finals. Paul Gasol was a major difference. Kobe Bryant in Game 7 was tremendous. He wasn't tremendous from the field, but he did everything else right, rebounding, assisting. Do you believe he was robbed of that finals? Do you agree with Kevin Durant?
I think Rob would say like Kobe wasn't deserving, and I won't go there. But I watched that series, and I think people get caught up in what someone averaged for a series versus what somebody did on the back end of the series. Kobe had 3 really big games in that series. He had 4 not so good games. He
Yep.
wasn't good in game. People will. I know people point out, well, he had 17. He had 17 rebounds. He needed to have 30 rebounds as bad as he shot. Like, if anybody saw the first half of that game, Kobe literally shot the Lakers he put the Celtics in the lead by himself. He was just tossing up brick after brick. I thought Pau Gasol was deserving of being Finals MVP, but when it was announced that Kobe won, I wasn't disappointed. I just thought people need to recognize it was a lot closer than Kobe fans. I don't know about Laker fans, but it was a lot closer than most Kobe fans would be willing to admit. I think Pau averaged close to 19 a game, maybe 13 rebounds. He shot a higher percentage. He averaged around 4 assists, 2 blocks. Pau was deserved. And in game 7, Pau played better than Kobe. Pau came up bigger than Kobe in game 7. If you remember that game 7, Kobe hit a couple of jump shots late in the game, but it was Pau, it was Ron Artest, it was Derek Fisher. Those guys played well and kept it together and got the Lakers over the top. So I'm not mad that Kobe won it, but I think more people should acknowledge the value of Pau Gasol. Like, a lot of times when people do these comparisons, they go, well, Kobe won 2 titles without another superstar. He didn't put up the biggest numbers, but Pau Gasol was more than just a sidekick. If Pau Gasol never goes to Los Angeles, Kobe would still have 3 rings.
Yeah. That's when it comes to an estimated difference right there. Pau Gasol was a difference, man. With against the Orlando Magic and the Boston Celtics, Pau Gasol was a difference. People forgot Kobe asked out. Kobe asked out before Pau Gasol got there. He said he would travel to Pluto, to the planet of Pluto, if he plays for the Lakers again, if he doesn't get any type of help. So he forced the front office to make a move. So, and they did. And Pau Gasol was the difference. In Memphis, early days, Pau Gasol was a dog. He was a beast in Memphis. People forgot about how good Pau Gasol was in Memphis, man. Then you want to throw up the narrative. If he didn't go to LA, of course he didn't win a champ. He wouldn't have won a championship. But to say the only reason he got those championships was because of Kobe, don't act like the man was some scrub in Memphis. The man was an all-star player. He was literally an all-star player in Memphis. So he really meant a lot to the organization. He meant a lot to Kobe. He meant a lot to coaching. He meant a lot to everything, man.
Coach, he changed the narrative of Kobe's career too. Remember, Kobe had the 3 titles with Shaq, but he was obsessed with separating himself from Shaq. That wasn't going to happen. They were in serious talks at one point to trade Kobe to Chicago. That was going to be a real thing. If Pau Gasol doesn't come to LA, never mind Kobe winning another title in LA, he wouldn't finish his career in LA. It would be a totally, completely different career shift and a different narrative in his career. So Pau Gasol made a big difference for Kobe's overall legacy.
And then we had, it was an interesting debate that was brought up. Who was better out of Pau Gasol and Amari Stoudemire? And Amari, we all know how good Amari Stoudemire was there in his younger days, but I'm going to take Pau Gasol every single time. You talking about a guy that plays great defense too. He was an all-defensive type player. He was a very underrated passer. Now, again, Amari Stoudemire was a great scorer. He did impact the way that Phoenix played. But as far as better player, Pau Gasol, I'm taking Pau Gasol as a better overall basketball player. As far as rebounding, blocking shots, playing great defense, and his impact on winning championships with the Los Angeles Lakers, that matters. But other than that, the guy was a demon in Memphis. The guy was a double-double machine. Each and every single night. And he guarded almost the best power forwards in the league. He guarded the best power forwards in the league, and he would do a good job against them. Now, that's an interesting one. But who would you take out of Amari Stoudemire and Paul Gasol? Who would you take out of those two?
I'm biased. I'm going to take Powell, but
I'm taking Paul too.
Let me just say this: I followed Powell since Memphis, so it wasn't like I just started noticing what Pau Gasol was when he became a Laker. I got excited when I found out we traded for him because I knew what kind of talent he was. I knew what kind of skill set he brought to the floor. Amari Stoudemire is probably the most explosive 4-5 guy we've ever seen in the NBA. I mean, if you think about it, that Suns team, they were probably the first version of a full-time small ball team. Remember what they did? Amari's really a 4, but they played him at 5. Sean Marion's really a 3, but they played him at 4. You could not run with – you literally couldn't run with them. Yep. People always said Amari couldn't guard bigs. He couldn't really guard talented bigs, but nobody could run with him and guard him. Like I think there was a series against the Spurs when Tim Duncan was probably at his prime. And I think for that series, Amari averaged like 35 points a game. Like now the Spurs won the game, but I'm just talking about how explosive Amari Stoudemire was in the open floor and as a finisher. When he dropped and he caught the ball and he attacked the rim, he was going to put you on a poster. So I think Amari Stoudemire, talented, explosive, but as a basketball player, coach, I'm with you. I'm taking Paul Gasol.
Yeah, I mean the scoring is nice. But if I can have the rebounding, the defensive, that defensive player, Paul Gasol, and that get in also an underrated passer and having a more impact on winning games, I'm taking that guy. I'm taking that player. I mean, I know the scoring is nice, but it's kind of just like a Damian Lillard and Russell Westbrook. Yes, the triple doubles is nice. They're really good. The scoring is really good. You can be athletic. Better basketball player, Damian Lillard. I'm taking Damian Lillard, the better actual basketball player, basketball player. So other than that, that's just something I really brought up, and I thought that was really interesting to let people know how actually good Paul Gasol was.
Yeah,
he was when he actually was in his prime age, and he was an impact on the Los Angeles Lakers. He was no doubt an impact on those championship team, the 09 and the 010 Lakers teams. He was actually an impact on that squad. Paul was a down, Jordan. Paul was a beast. He was great in Memphis. Memphis was just so bad. They were just so bad in this young year. They were just so bad. When you're a bad team like that, you rarely even get noticed that much. But it was one year he did lead Memphis to the playoffs, and they got put out because that's how tough the West was actually during those times. So we got a payday. We had a payday yesterday, and it was Nas Reed. Nas Reed gets paid 3 years, $42 million. He was a big impact with the Timberwolves last year. You know, he went down with the wrist injury earlier. I believe that hurt the Timberwolves. That dude was having a horrific season, a great season with the Timberwolves as far as shooting the basketball from the outside, being athletic, driving to the rim, dunking on guys. That was definitely a big miss for Minnesota. But what the topic is he better than Pau Gasol? Is he better than Cat and Gobert? I don't think he's a better player than Cat, but I do. He definitely makes an impact on the squad. I don't think he's a better player than Cat or Gobert, but he does make an impact. And it hurt him when they lost him last year. But what you think about the payday, Mo?
And I actually thought $42 million for somebody that has got his career ahead of him and what he's already shown you. I thought he gave them a team-friendly deal, honestly. Really, when you think about what he can do, I would make the argument that he is probably the best backup center in the NBA right now. And he's a lot like Tyus Jones. He could start in a lot of places. And if he played, let's say 30 minutes a night, he'd be a double-double guy. So no, not better than Cat, but obviously Cat has expectations that he doesn't live up to. He has expectations because of his talent and some of the numbers he put up. So he's not better than him as a basketball player. But I don't know about Gobert. I'll give Gobert an edge because of the shot blocking and the rebounding. but I think Nas Reed is still getting better. Gobert
Yep.
is he's at whatever his peak is, he's at it right now. Nas Reed is still getting better. He's still developing. His game is still elevating. So maybe not better right now, but ask me this question a year from now.
Yep. And Nas Reed, like I say, he was having a hell of a season before he got hurt. And hey, I definitely agree with you. Mo said, hey, he should have got more money, to be honest. He should have got paid more than that, to be honest. But he took a friendly deal. Was good, y'all. Was good. My boy Cool McCain, man. I sort of sworn I just saw you Friday, man. I just saw you Friday. I should have sworn I just did that. Saw you Friday. What's good, my boy Bird? What's good, Mike? He said playoff softy cat. Don't call it. You can call him that.
No.
His new name is Mr. No Show. That's his new name, Mr. No Show. I ain't calling him no. I ain't calling him no damn Carl Anthony Towns. His new name for me is Mr. No Show. My boy E in the building. There we go. That's what I'm talking about, Mr. No Show. Mr. No Show. That's exactly what he is right there in a big moment. So here we go. We got Fred Taylor. My boy E know about Fred Taylor. I know about Fred Taylor. Hell of a running back, one of the most underrated running backs in the NFL. You know, is he a Hall of Famer to you? Should he be a Hall of Famer?
It's a tough call. He is underrated, Coach.
Yep.
Maybe one of the more consistent running backs. If you look over what he did, off the top of my head, I don't know for sure, but I believe he rushed for like over 11,000 yards for his career.
Yep.
His yards per carry, high yards per carry. He was unique because he had the ability to run with power, but then he had breakaway speed. Maybe because he played in Jacksonville, he didn't get enough shine. It's weird to say that a guy that was productive as Fred Taylor was, Coach, only made one Pro Bowl team. That's just strange.
That's a robbery. Yep.
Yeah, that doesn't set right. So I will say this: he has a strong Hall of Fame case to be made, but I will also add this: his case isn't. I think his case is as strong, but not any stronger than, say, somebody like Ricky Waters. I would say Ricky Waters has as just as strong a case as Fred Taylor. I'll throw in another name that nobody probably would mention. Falls under the radar. Just go back and look at what he did over the course of his career. Warrick Dunn. I actually think Warrick Dunn is more impressive because he was 180-pound running back, Coach. 180 pounds. That's amazing for him to be able to run the ball. Like most wide receivers, even the little ones, start off bigger than 180 pounds.
Yep.
That guy played halfback with Tampa and with the Falcons. I think he had over 5,000 yards, like 5 or 6 times. He was terrific out the backfield, productive in special teams. I think if you look at yards from scrimmage, he probably has more yards from scrimmage than both Ricky Waters and Fred Taylor. So I'm not going to hate. I think they're all Hall of Fame worthy. It's a highway robbery, in my opinion, that Fred Taylor only made one Pro Bowl.
That's crazy. What's good, Gene? What's good? His numbers, he played 13 seasons.
Oh, I love Priest Holmes.
He played 13 seasons. He was selected as a one-time Pro Bowler. That was crazy. That was crazy right there. He had over 2,534 carries over his career. He had 1,100 yards. 1,100. He had 11,695. Okay. 11,695 yards. 290 catches in his career. So the man pretty much did everything as a running back. The only thing about it, Jacksonville was not really a good team. Throughout those years. But other than that, it's a strong case for Fred Taylor. It's a very strong case for him to be in a Hall of Fame. So other than that,
you should give him more shine. That's for sure. Yeah,
yes, you're definitely right. We got 4 offenses that will make a jump this year. Give me I'm assuming this is NFL.
Yeah, I think it
Give me
is.
4 offenses that will make a jump next year in the NFL. Give me 4 offenses.
So, Coach, I think these offenses will make a jump. I'm not saying they're going to be top 5, but I'm talking about from where they were last year. So I'm going to go Lions because I like what the Lions did in the offseason. I'm going to go Broncos. Sean Payton is going to set Russell Wilson up for success. If Sean Payton can't right the ship for Russell Wilson, then Russell Wilson might as well retire. So I expect the Broncos to be more of a run-first team, but that plays to what Russell Wilson does best, which is play action pass.
Yep.
So I think the Broncos will be better. I'm going to throw another team out there that you might disagree with. I think the Browns are going to be a lot better offensively.
I love it. Like it.
Yeah. People forgot Nick Chubb, and then you've got Deshaun Watson. They might not have a great receiving core, but Deshaun Watson is the kind of talent he can make your receivers better than what they are. So I'm gonna throw them in there, and I'm gonna also add, even though I think it's a little overrated, the bigger picture of the move. The Jets, of course, are going to elevate. They've got a quarterback that can actually read defenses and pick people apart. They're loaded in the skill position area. So I don't know about what they're going to do playoff-wise, but in terms of the offense taking off, it's going to be a much improved offense.
Got you. So I'm gonna go with the Houston Texans. My Houston Texans. I think the offense will improve with a better quarterback play. CJ Stroud. If Nico Collins can stay healthy, I believe the offensive line is definitely improved. It's way better than we had it last year by adding Shaq Mason on that roster as well. You add Shaq Mason used to be a top offensive. He's still a top offensive lineman in football. Larry Tunsil, a top 2 offensive lineman in football. We're still waiting on pay Titus Howard, who's really good. So if our offensive line is healthy, and we should be able to run the ball with Damian Pierce and Devin Singletary. Devin Singletary is an underrated back in the NFL, underrated running back in the NFL. So I'm expecting them to take a leap on the offensive side of the ball. We got some pretty good weapons, but also the quarterback play does make a difference on how we're going to do this season. You're right about the Cleveland Browns. The Cleveland Browns would definitely improve with Deshaun Watson. You gave him a whole training camp, whole OTAs, whole year. Mari Cooper, Donovan Peoples-Jones, not bad. Nick Chubb, one of the best running backs in football. That offense should be improved. I'm gonna go with the Ravens. I think the Ravens offense will definitely improve as long as Lamar Jackson stays on the field, and you got and Rashad Bateman, who can be really, really good. He shows signs of really, really good being a good wide receiver. Only if he stays on the field. Zay Jones is improved. Isaiah Likely is on to come up. You got Mark Andrews, who's one of the best tight ends of all of football. I think that J.K. Dobbins with the running game, that offense should improve. That's only if Lamar Jackson stayed on the football field. I think Ravens offense would be better. And again, like I said, I did say the Cleveland Browns, so I just named 3 of them. I got one more squad that I think that will definitely improve on the offensive side of the ball. And I'm going to actually go with the Minnesota Vikings. Minnesota Vikings, I believe they will be a scary team to watch. I don't believe they will they're not contenders. They're not contenders. They're going to win. I got them winning the NFC North. You only thing you flip is Adam Thielen. You flipped Adam Thielen, but you got a younger Jordan Addison. Actually. Alexander Madison is a better fit for what Minnesota does right now than Dalvin Cook. I think that's why they move on. He's not a better player, but he's a better fit in the system for what they want to do actually right now. So other than that, that's my 4 offenses. You named a good 4 offenses, and people forgot how very good Deshaun Watson was before he got in that trial. That's the one thing that's the one guy that I think that can get his throne back in potential top 5 if he plays good this year, if he plays awesome this year. So other than that, which player in the NBA that should have got a ring but never did? Which player stand out to you that say, hey man, this man should have won a championship? He's the greatest player to ever go down to not to win a title. Which player that you can think of?
Wow, that could be a long list.
Yep.
Wow, but it's easy to concede that I think Chris Webber was so very close. Like, we forget how good that Sacramento team was. That Sacramento team with Bibby and Stojakovic, Bobby Jackson, Doug Christie. They had a squad, man, and they were right there for about a 3-year window, and it never really happened for them. He'd be one. It's easy to say Charles Barkley or Patrick Ewing and guys like that. I just thought to go outside the box and look at a
Yep.
guy like Chris Webber, who, if you look at his career, just the breadth of his career, you forget how gifted he was over the breadth of his career. So I think Chris Webber is the first person that comes to mind for me.
Yeah, yes, indeed. I got you on that. I'm gonna say Vince Carter. Vince Carter as well. Vince Carter, you wanted to go out the box, so I seen what you was going with there. So I'm gonna go out of the box with you. Vince Carter, from the moment he was a superstar. Remember that first highlight when he jumped over that 7-footer head? He jumped over that 7 foot, right up over that man head. He never was the same again right after that. Of course, you can name a lot of play. We can all name a lot of players that didn't win a ring. AI was one of them. That didn't win a championship. Tracy McGrady was one of them that didn't win a title. Some of those guys like Charles Barkley and Patrick Ewing. What's the only thing that stopped them from winning a title?
Same guy.
And who was that guy that stopped them from winning a championship?
MJ.
That's
why Karl Malone don't have it. That's why Karl Malone and Stockton didn't have a championship. That's why Sean Kemp. We can keep going. All the people don't have championships.
These are all-time greats that he stopped for winning the title. Keem Olajuwon probably would have been a part of that if Michael Jordan didn't retire. Who knows? Keem Olajuwon, my brother, he would have been on that list. He would have been on that, probably been on that list. But and so many MVPs were stopped because of that guy. If that guy didn't really exist that much. It was an interesting YouTube I was watched. Simulator, pretty much what would happen if Michael Jordan didn't exist in the 90s. Boy, don't you know how many MVPs Karl Malone would have got if Michael Jordan didn't exist at that time? Say Gary Payton. Yep, Gary Payton. He stopped Gary Payton, but Gary Payton would end up winning a championship in Miami. That was later, in his career, but he was a part of that. He was a part of that too.
Karl Malone would have had at least 2 championships if Michael Jordan never existed.
Reggie Miller was stopped for winning a title. He was stopped.
Patrick Ewing would have had at least 1.
Oh man, you know what, Mo? That was sick, bro. That was sick. That was crazy. Patrick, I felt that's the one great player I feel bad for, man, because he had to deal with Michael Jordan every single year in the East. He had to deal with that every single year. And the closest they were, and when he finally got to the finals, he got past Pippen and the Bulls. And that one year when he lost to the Rockets, that was the year he should have got it. He should have actually got it. But then he did end up going to the finals again with the San Antonio Spurs, and he lost. He got swept. So now he had absolutely 2 opportunities to win an NBA championship. He had 2 opportunities. Allen Houston, John Starks. That was a team. That was the 8th seeded. You say I'm tired of the LeBron, and hey man, that's always going to be brought up. That debate is always going to be brought up, man. Like I say,
not just that debate, Coach. Every debate. When you start talking, think about this. When you start talking about great players, and then you want to say, for instance, where should KD rank all time, or where should Steph rank all time? The only way you can really define that, right, is to compare him to another great player, right? That's how we do it. We compare great players. We're talking about the best of the best, right? The best of the best.
Yep.
That conversation to me is a never-ending story. It's a never-ending conversation. When you and I stop talking about it, Coach, somebody else is going to pick up the ball and they're going to start talking about it until another guy, whoever that may be, till another guy walks into the NBA. It makes you go, he might be better than LeBron. He might be better than LeBron and Jordan or Kobe, or so on and so on. That debate doesn't end anytime soon. It won't even end when LeBron retires. It won't end. and that's good for sports. I think it's easy for people to say, well, let's not compare them to each other. They're both great, and let's leave it at that. What's the fun in that? What's the fun in that? I want to have a conversation about how much better is Shaq that much better than Akeem Olajuwon. I'm a Laker fan, and I don't think that. I don't think that at all.
I don't think it at all.
That's coming from me, who Shaq gave. He gave my franchise 3 championships. I think Akeem Olajuwon, when you talk about all-time greats, he is the most underrated, underappreciated all-time great in the history of basketball.
Hey, like I say, I'm glad you brought that up. I think actually Akeem Olajuwon is actually the better player than Shaquille O'Neal.
Well, me and you both.
Yeah, I think he's actually the better player than Shaquille O'Neal.
Yeah. Because look, I think Shaq made all NBA defense second team twice. But if you watch Shaq the way I watched Shaq over his career, Shaq didn't play defense. He didn't play defense. Teams when they attacked the Lakers, they attacked pick and roll because they knew Shaq couldn't play in space, and they knew Shaq wouldn't come out in space. He just was not a good defensive player.
I mean, Akeem Olajuwon led that man's the all-time shot block leader, and it's not even close. So the second closest to Olajuwon was McKinney Mutombo. He wasn't even close. He wasn't even close to even getting a shot blocking record. So other than that, Akeem Olajuwon, like I say, he's over-talked. He's not talked about so much. You used to hearing about Shaq. You used to hearing about Shaq, rightfully so. But again, people forgot how good Akeem Olajuwon was great on both sides.
Right, dominant on both sides of the floor. Could run and ran the floor. He didn't run the floor like a center. He ran the floor like he was a small forward. Like people, they try to get into this narrative that the players or the centers from the 80s were these slow, plodding guys. That's not true. Akeem Olajuwon wasn't slow. David Robinson wasn't slow. When he was in his 20s, Patrick Ewing wasn't slow. He got him down the floor. There are some gifted guys in the NBA, but the guy that gets forgotten about, you think about Akeem Olajuwon, he had a jump shot that was effective from 12 to 15 feet. The dream shake, his footwork alone, coach.
Yeah.
He was still long after he retired. Remember, you already know this. Guys was paying him to work with them on their footwork.
Kobe Bryant was one of those.
Right. Yep. Look, I am not here to bash Shaq. I love Shaq as a player. Love what Shaq did. He was, and people will point out how dominant Shaq was in the finals, and you can't deny that, especially that three-peat. I think the man basically averaged like 36 points a game and 16 rebounds in all 3 of those finals. I'm not taking that away from him. I'm just simply saying, when you look at what Olajuwon did, because that Rockets team, they had some good players, but nobody would call that a stack squad.
We didn't have a stack squad. We didn't have a superstar on the team.
Right.
We didn't have no superstar
on the team. And think about it, Coach. He also played through an era where you saw that series against the Knicks. If you had Vince McMahon in the background, that was WWE.
Yeah.
Come on, man. He put in that kind of work in that era. Don't tell me guys can't play in this era. You think Akeem Olajuwon, if you dropped him into this era at age 25, he wouldn't eat these cats alive? I know he would.
I know he would, because he wasn't just he just wasn't no inside threat either. He can shoot. He can shoot from the outside. He can shoot the mid range. He can actually shoot that 3-point ball. That's the only center that I knew. When you think you studied, when you think you know his moves, you don't, because he have a different move each and every game.
He had a counter for every counter.
Yes, he had a counter punch for every time you think you stop him. He had a counter. He had a counter for that. Every single game, he brought out a different move, and I'm like, I never seen this goddamn move before. Never, and he will pull it out against guys like David Robinson. He made David Robinson look like a jackrabbit. And with David Robinson, the moment he got that MVP trophy in front of Akeem Olajuwon, I remember that series when he played David Robinson. David Robinson won the MVP, and Olajuwon just looked up and he did this. And he showed David Robinson who was really the actual MVP. He showed David Robinson who was
Don't forget, in that series, that's when Rodman was on the Spurs. They switched and put Rodman on Olajuwon, and he ate Rodman alive.
He ate them both up. He
ate them so bad that they put Robinson back on Olajuwon.
They tried to double team him, and they still couldn't really stop him.
Right.
Like I say, again, in Joel Embiid, take goddamn notes. Take goddamn notes. You listen to me right now. You take goddamn notes. Take goddamn notes about that. When that was a real MVP back in the day. The dude knew how to show up when it mattered. And it's not like I say, we had Kenny Smith, who was a very good knockdown shooter. Vernon Maxwell was really good. And we did get Clyde Drexler at the trading deadline, but Clyde Drexler was way out of his prime. He still was 18 points per game.
Right.
He wasn't a superstar at that time, though. He wasn't an all-star. He was not an all-star or a superstar. Hakeem Olajuwon was the only player to win back-to-back without a superstar on a team, on a basketball team. That is hard to do if you don't have a secondary guy. Yes, Clyde Drexler was averaging 18. He had some big moments. But at that time, he was way up out of his career. He was way up out of his prime. And that's another underrated player, Mo, I want to bring up to you. Clyde Drexler. People forgot he was the second best shooting guard behind Michael Jordan in the Portland days, in the Portland era. Let the people know how good Clyde Drexler was in that era when he was with Portland. Man was the second best shooting guard at that time.
Maybe one of the most explosive players in the open court. Even now, if you were back on defense and Clyde Drexler was coming at you in the open court, your best bet is to get out the way because he was going to make you pay. Your best bet was to get out the way. And here's the thing. Clyde proved his greatness to me before he even got to Houston. Mm-hmm. He was the best player on two teams that went to the finals. He led Portland to the finals twice, and arguably he should have led them to the finals 3 years in a row had it not been for Magic Johnson just literally wheeling the Lakers. That Lakers team that played in the 91 finals, they had no business being in the 91 finals.
Yeah, you say
wheeled them to the finals. They were not supposed to be there. Drexler's team was the better team, but Clyde Drexler was a great player. His biggest crime, he thrived. He did his best. He put up numbers, but it was during the Michael Jordan era, and no one really paid attention to him. He never got that love, even when they met the Bulls in the finals. Yes, Jordan outplayed him, but look at Drexler's numbers in that finals, 27, 7, and 7. He wasn't getting killed. He was a great player in his own right. Michael Jordan was just a much greater player. To me, Clyde Drexler is right there with Olajuwon as one of the most underrated players. No one ever talks about where does Clyde Drexler rank all time. He's vastly underrated, Coach. Vastly underrated. Not to the level of Olajuwon, because this is where I go with my respect for Olajuwon. He's not in most people's top 10. He's in my top 10.
Yep. He's definitely top 10 of all time. He's definitely top 10 of all time. He's definitely top 10. You can put him top 7. It doesn't even matter.
I got him far up.
I have him far up too. Now Kuma Kane brought up Sam Cassell, Otis Thorpe.
Otis Thorpe was a really good role player. You're talking about a guy that gave you 10 points, 12 rebounds, like really good player. And I think Otis Thorpe might have made an all-star with Sacramento. He might have made one all-star team with Sacramento, but I don't think he made one with the Rockets.
Man, like I said, when Otis Thorpe get the rebound, man, you're not taking that rebound away from Otis Thorpe. You talking about a man that was physically strong inside, and once he get you in box out position, he goes up and get that rebound. You might well just get back on deep.
Coach, he might have had the strongest hands in basketball.
Yes, he had the strongest hands of basketball right there. So a missed shot, you might well forget it. You're not getting no offensive board. You're just not getting the offensive board. You might well just go back on defense. If you know you missed a shot, you might well just go back on defense. That's just how good of a rebound Otis Thorpe was. So, Mo, give me your top 5 Lakers of all time. Your top 5 Lakers.
So I'm gonna start with Kareem and Magic. Magic's my favorite player all time. So let me put that out there. It's Magic, Kareem. I'm gonna go Kobe. I'm going to go Shaq. I have to go Shaq. And for me, top 5, I know a lot of people say Wilt Chamberlain, but this is my top 5 Lakers.
Yep, top 5.
James Worthy is going to be my 5th guy.
Okay, I like that. I like that. Obviously, the top 5 Rockets. I mean, I got to go with Hakeem Olajuwon as the number 1 Rocket of all time to me. You have Calvin Murphy. Calvin Murphy was really
Great.
Calvin Murphy really good. I got James Harden. Obviously, is a top 5 Rocket of all time for what he did. For actually what he did as well.
Let me ask you, Coach. I know his career was kind of short because of injuries. Where does Ralph Sampson rank for you?
Ralph Sampson, he's up there. I don't think he's a top 5 Rocket. I don't think he's a top 5 Rocket though. But he was up there. He was like one of the first twin towers that we had. Yeah. If it wasn't for when his knees went out, man, it was pretty much it when the knees went out. But Ralph Sampson was really good. So I do got Hakeem Olajuwon, Calvin Murphy. I have James Harden, Yao Ming. I'm gonna put him a part of that. That was a great run. Him and Shaq had some battles. Him and Shaq had some great battles together. Great battles. Can't forget about those. And I will also add. I mean, just because I respect this man so much, I like Vernon Maxwell, man. I like Vernon Maxwell.
Mad
Max was really good, man. People underestimate the defender that dude was. That dude didn't stop Jordan, but he made it work. He made him work. He made him work hard.
He challenged him. He got up in him.
Yep. He made him work really hard. That guy was a hell of a defender. Get in your face, defender. I mean, like I say, man, I remember that team, 94, 95. That was something special. That was something special right there. We were low seed both times when we won the actual championship. We was the first.
You went through some squads, Coach. Man, that Phoenix team, you went through some squads. Didn't they have you guys down 3-1?
Yep, Phoenix had us down 3-1, and we came back. Mario Elliott, the kiss of death,
one of the great role players of all time.
Yeah. And we played 3 straight 60-win teams. Utah, first round was a 60-win team. San Antonio, 60-win team. The Suns, 60-win team. They went through 3 straight 60-win teams that win that finals that year, and that was crazy. So the best Laker team of all time that you've seen ever.
So when I was a kid, I saw the 85 Lakers. A lot of people say the 87 Lakers are the greatest, the greater team. I'll just say I stuck with the 85 Lakers because I thought that was also the last time where I think Kareem was still giving you 25 a game before before age kind of kicked in and he became a lesser prominent part of the offense. But then you think about that team, you had Worthy who had come into his peak. Byron Scott was athletic. You had Michael Cooper. They were just loaded across the board. They had added Michael Thompson to give them another kind of player who could score, who could defend. They always added a veteran to come off the bench to make their bench a little bit more stout, top to bottom. And I think that was when Magic was like, he had developed a jump shot. Early in his career, Magic really just got downhill or he would post you up. By 85, he had developed a jump shot, and obviously he developed that junior skyhook. That became a consistent part of his game. So the 85 team is my favorite team. If you're going to say more modern teams, if we jumped ahead a little bit, I think a really impressive team, in my opinion, that won, and they're not one of the best teams all time, Coach. They're never going to be rated that. I would have to say Dirk's Mavs in 2011.
Yeah.
That is the most stunning finals I've ever watched. I went into that finals telling people, like, I'll watch all 4 games because Miami's going to sweep them. Like, there's no reason that should have been a good series. What's lost in a lot of NBA fans is when Dirk lost in 2006, he was in his peak. He was in his prime. He was the MVP. When he won in 2011, he was on the other side of his prime. And they went in there and they annihilated Miami.
You ain't lying about that. You ain't lying. You said Rudy T doesn't get enough credit. Oh, Rudy T was bad, bro. Rudy Tomjanovich, he was really bad. He was a bad head coach. He was a really great head coach.
Great motivator too.
Great motivator too. great motivator too. The greatest quote: "Don't never underestimate the heart of a champion."
That line.
That was probably the greatest quote that I actually know. But like I say, that was supposed to be a mismatch, like you said. That was supposed to be a mismatch series. And LeBron James, definitely his first finals appearance did not look good at all, man. Did not look good at all. He got outscored by Jason Terry and JJ Barea. He got outscored by both of those guys. And to Dirk Nowitzki, that was a turning point right there that solidified his legacy, winning it by himself, not by himself, but with a group of guys, that they had no business being in the finals at all. But that was mentioned as one of the weakest teams to ever make the NBA finals.
It was, Coach, but don't forget they caught fire, right?
Yeah,
I will freely admit, don't forget when they played my Lakers, they swept us. They destroyed. I mean, they rained 3-pointers down on the Lakers. Matter of fact, they rained 3-pointers down on the Lakers so bad that was when we went into that off season and they thought it was time to move on for Pau Gasol. And I didn't agree with that because Dirk was just a bad matchup for Pau Gasol. Like any natural big that had to guard Dirk, that's a mismatch because Dirk he can play from 25 feet in. And they just ate us alive, man. Like they did not miss. Even after that, Coach, even after I saw them destroy the Lakers, nobody could convince me they could beat Miami. Remember, this is MVP LeBron. This is actually Wade when he was still in his prime before his knees started getting to him, and Chris Bosh. That's a stacked squad, and Dirk Nowitzki and a bunch of veterans past their primes destroyed them.
Definitely. So the greatest, before we get into the last topic, the greatest team that you've seen never won a championship. The greatest team that you have ever seen that never won a championship.
So I mentioned Weber's Kings. This will be a good one. I will say not what's it? It's on the tip of my tongue. Rasheed Wallace's Blazers. Remember when they met the Lakers? This was a 7-game series. It's no question that Kobe and Shaq were the bigger stars, but after those two, the Blazers had all the best players in the series. All the best players. I believe they had a 17-point lead in the fourth quarter of a game 7 with Kobe and Shaq sitting on the bench, and the role players of the Lakers started a run, and the Blazers could never snuff out the run. They lose game 7. The Lakers go on to win the title, and that Blazers team, they never really stuck together. I mean, we played them again the following year, and it wasn't nearly as good of a series as it was before. They just kind of lost their way, but that was the series where, you saw the signature move. Kobe cuts up Pippen, he lobs it to Shaq, and that was kind of the seal on the game in the series. But think about how different that had been had the Blazers went ahead and won that. How different that would have been. Like, they were that deep, Coach, that talented. You're talking about a team that had Stacey Augmon on the bench. They had Damon Stoudemire. They had Steve Smith. You can just go down the list of names. They had Gary Grant. They had Bryant Williams, Sabonis, Rasheed Wallace, Bonzi Wells. I remember they kept posting with Bonzi Wells. Like, they were loaded and built to win, and we found a way to pull it out in game 7.
They had a loaded roster. They also had a young Zach Randolph.
Yes. And Jermaine O'Neal.
Jermaine O'Neal. They had Detlef Shrimp on that team. Definitely remember that.
Loaded.
They were very loaded. So I'm going to go with the 90. I'm going to go with the 90. What's this here? The 2000. It was not the 2000, but the 98, 96. I'm going to go with the 96. Supersonics, 96 Supersonics.
Oh, Peyton and Kemp.
Peyton, Sean Kemp. They had Detlef Shrimp.
I think Detlef Shrimp was on there too. Detlef Shrimp was a winner.
Percy Hawkins was on that squad. Ben Baker, I think Ben Baker was on that squad. They had a talented roster. The only difference that stopped them was timing, because Michael Jordan was on that 73-9, was on a 73-9 run. The Supersonics got over 60 wins, 65 wins that year. They were the second best defensive team in the league. The best defensive team in the league was who Michael Jordan Bulls that year, and Gary Payton. I think he was kind of hurt a little bit, and they made the adjustment too late. I thought George Karl made the adjustment too late to put Gary Payton on Michael Jordan, and he made the adjustment too late. At that time, the series was already over by the time he made the adjustment because they were down, I believe, 3-0 before the Sonics won 2 straight, and then the Bulls closed it out in 6 games. So I believe that was the best team that had a chance to win the finals. Only difference, that time caught them. The timing caught them. If there was any other team in the East, they would have definitely won. They would have definitely won the finals that year. And we don't bring up Reggie Miller. Reggie Miller is one of the greatest players to not win a championship because he's been a part of the East so long. So that's the last topic right here. Top 5 Super Bowl quarterbacks. Top 5 Super Bowl quarterbacks who have won a Super Bowl.
For me, it's easy. You got to start with Brady. That's easy, right?
Yep.
I'm going to go Brady. I'm going to go Montana. People might disagree, but I'm going to go Elway. I'm going to go Elway for this reason, not because of not for the 2 Super Bowls that he won at the end of his career with Terrell Davis. It was the other ones that team had no business being in the Super Bowl. Those were not good teams. John Elway, we're talking about talent. Football is a team sport, but what he did was it looked more like the NBA. As an individual talent, he carried the Broncos to multiple Super Bowls that they shouldn't have played in. They shouldn't have been in. They were not. He had no Pro Bowl running backs, no Pro Bowl receivers, middle of the ground at best defense. They should not be. And he took them to multiple. Now, granted, when they got there, it wasn't surprising. They got waxed. Because you're playing the best of the best. But that team shouldn't have. They should have never went to the Super Bowl. I'm impressed with him for being able to do that multiple times. Yes, he got the 2 Super Bowls at the end of his career, but John Elway was a freak of nature. He also broke the mold, Coach. You're not supposed to throw across field. He did everything you're not supposed to do, and he made it work. And he also terrorized the city of Cleveland multiple times.
He did. He showed did. Again, I have to go. Troy Aikman is up there.
Oh yeah,
he's up there. In that Cowboys dynasty. Yeah. You gotta throw Montana in there. You gotta throw. Of course, Tom Brady. When you talk about Eli Manning, you know about his regular seasons, but in the playoffs, when he had to step up, he stepped up. Eli Manning definitely deserves it. He stepped up in the playoffs. The interception rate went down in the playoffs. Again, you talk about Matthew Stafford was really good, but other than that, like you said, John Elway led those teams, early Broncos teams, to the Super Bowl, and they just never could pull it out. Dan Marino didn't win a Super Bowl, but think about what he did with the Dolphins organization after taking them to the Super Bowl and get beat down. They never was the same again. The team was never really as good no more. But other than that, so it was like I say, man, Dan Marino, probably the best quarterback that never won a Super Bowl in his career. All those yards that he put up, and also late stage of his career, he kind of got waxed too. He kind of got beat down a little bit. He got beat down a little bit. He took a lot of hits as well. So,
hey, Coach,
go ahead.
He's not one of the best Super Bowl era quarterbacks, but you can make a case that Ben Roethlisberger threw maybe he might have thrown the best pass in Super Bowl history. That pass against the Cardinals to win the game to Santonio Holmes. That was an amazing throw.
That was amazing.
That was a perfect throw. When you think about it, big picture, I've never seen anybody finish a game out that way in that situation.
Yep. Yes, indeed. So great morning show this morning, man. We definitely will be back in the morning and Tuesday morning. Free agency is on our way. It's approaching us 4 days away. And Summer League on the way as well. I will be doing a lot of Summer League games. So y'all stay tuned, man. So Mo, tell the people they can follow you at.
find me right here in the Empire Sports Network. See you guys tomorrow on Coffee and Sports in the Morning.
Yep, man. Y'all know introduction for me. Y'all know where y'all want to find me at, man. So as for your boy Coach Dante, as for your boy Mo, we'll see y'all in the next morning show. That's on Tuesday. See y'all later. Y'all have a good day.